Hello, I'm Donna Smith, and this is Sound Advice. On Sound Advice, I talk about professional and personal development. Professional development, helping you to do better and be more successful in your career and at the workplace. And personal development, just dealing with skills that you would need to empower yourself and be the best that you can be. And I talk about that on my weekly shows, and by all means, do subscribe. Just click on that little button that's in the corner, and then you can be a part of my community, and I would love for you to do that. But today I want to talk about dealing with loneliness. You know, as we are beginning to get near the festive time of the year, and this is the time where family and friends come together and just have such wonderful times, it's going to be different with this pandemic season. A lot of people will not be able to come together and won't be traveling, so you may be alone. And I think some people will be suffering loneliness during this time. And or maybe they were in a vibrant relationship and that relationship is no longer, so they may be suffering from that and feeling down and gloomy and feeling sorry for themselves. Or they may have had death in the family. You know, there are a number of reasons why sometimes people get down, and it seems like it's magnified during the holiday seasons. So let's deal with loneliness. Stay tuned. So dealing with loneliness. You know, this morning and every morning I like to start my day with reading something inspirational. So I was reading this book by George Knowles, and in it I was reading a story about, and the title of this story is He Died for Me, and I won't read it word for word, but basically it was talking about a pastor had come across this man at the cemetery, and the man at the cemetery was decorating this grave. So the pastor was thinking, is that your wife whose grave you're decorating? And the man said, no. The man who lies in this cemetery died in my behalf. You see, the story is, it was during the Civil War, and this man knew that I was a family man and I had a wife and 4 children dependent upon me. And he substituted in my place, and he went to serve for me, and he was killed in action. Well, the son who was killed in action was the only son in his family, and he left his mom, who was a widow. So the man who was at the gravesite said that he was taking care of his mom and would do so, and was honored to do so, take care of her for the rest of her life, because he died in my place and I will live in his place. Made me think of, wow, what a powerful story. What a tragic story. But what a powerful story, because you have both men who are serving each other, and it's service. You see, when you serve someone, all your energies goes out to that service or that mission. And that would take away and diminish those feelings of loneliness, because when you're lonely, you're thinking of yourself. You're alone, you're thinking of yourself. And then you starting feeling sorry for yourself or having feelings of sadness. But when you're on a mission, once again, those energies are going out and your focus more is on the mission. Now, it doesn't take your pain away. If you had a loved one who is lost due to death, it doesn't bring them back. But again, it gives you something. It fuels you with something. It rejuvenates your soul. And it makes me think of Mrs. Jones. Mrs. Jones, I met her because both of us were working with troubled youth. And during the time of working with those troubled youth, I got to know her, and she said, you know, Don, I have another mission. And her other mission was she would send birthday cards to people. She would send birthday cards to everybody. And so she wanted to know when was my birthday. And I said, well, my birthday is in December. And so Mrs. Jones started sending me birthday cards. And around my birthday, I would get a card from Mrs. Jones, and when I would open up the card, in it, she would have a little message in it. And I remember reading this message this one particular birthday, and it was definitely uplifting. I think of my own personal experience. Some time ago, I had lost one of my relatives, a dear, close relative of mine, and it was very saddening. And I was just at the point I really didn't want to be around anybody. I just kind of wanted to be to myself. Now, I would share with you, I have a love for animals. And so I would be in the house and I would hear this dog barking and barking, just barking relentlessly. And I would wonder, that's not a normal bark. Let me check on this dog and make sure my neighbor's dog is okay. So I went and I checked on the dog and the dog seemed to be okay. But then when I would come back, I would hear this relentless barking again. And I would go back and I would do the same thing. So finally I decided to, in secret, untie the dog and started walking my neighbor's dog without their knowing it. So every day I would walk this dog, and let me tell you, I'm talking about service. I would be out walking that dog in the sunshine, getting that fresh air, and I started to come alive because my thoughts were on doing something for this tied up dog who was tied up all the time and obviously was not happy because after I would walk him, you wouldn't hear him bark a lot. So I would do this every day. So even when I got to the point where I didn't want to get out the bed, I would hear the dog's name is Bud. I would hear Bud barking and I would say, I've got to get out this bed because I can't let Bud down. I've got to go walk him. Service. We're talking about service. I stopped thinking so much of myself. I was more interested in the well-being of my dear friend Bud that I would walk every day. And there's so many missions that you can be on. You can just Google service or volunteer. You could call someone. You could text someone. That could be your mission. You could go feed the homeless. Do something that you could see yourself doing and you would want to do so you're not begrudged by the thoughts of doing this particular service. And again, by putting your energies out and focusing on that service and that mission, it waters your soul. It also makes me think of this lady that I used to work with because so hyped. We worked and we would be in the break room during our break and she would be talking about everything she did that morning because she would just be so hype. And she did the loads of clothes and she would do this and she would do that. And by the time she went through all the things she did, it was exhausting. And I would think, man, she's got a lot of energy. But she also disclosed during this time that she took a B complex. And I said, oh, a B complex. Well, there it is. You see, your B vitamins are necessary that work in chemical reactions, and the end of those chemical reactions that take place in our body gives us energy. So if she's taking this B complex, and in this case, it was coupled with vitamin C, that's like getting a shot of adrenaline. So you want to think, if you have this gloomy feeling and you're feeling down, make sure that you're eating correctly and you're getting your B vitamins, because B vitamins not only would give you energy, but they would also help boost your mood so that you won't feel so gloomy or dismal. So B vitamins, you can get them in whole grain foods and also in fortified cereals. I don't want you to be sad. I don't want you to be lonely. I don't want you to feel lonely, particularly as we come on the holiday season. And we may be by ourselves, who knows? But definitely be thinking in terms of a mission or service, and that definitely by giving and doing, that may help to diminish those feelings of loneliness. And I hope it would work for you. And if you have any questions about any of the shows that I've done, please leave them in the comments below and I will address those questions in some of the future programs. But for today, again, I'm Donna Smith, and this is Sound Advice.